I'm a huge Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Rocky fan. The one thing that all three of those characters, people have in common is they really learned the most through failure.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Good Stories, featuring our very own CEO and founding mama, Claudia Goldfarb. Welcome back.
Thank you for having
And
me.
me, Lexi.
And you, Lexi.
What's new? I'm so excited when you're excited and when you are willing to get on this show. I know, you are kicking and screaming sometimes, but the last two episodes, it's been my mother saying, Lexi, get on over here. We're going to shoot another episode. So I'm like, can we do it later in the day? I'm busy. And you're like, no, now. And here we are.
Yeah. So I think it's been interesting to get feedback from people that enjoy this. It's not something that I anticipated or expected, and it's definitely outside of my comfort zone. You know, the last time we shot this was definitely, I was struggling. And I was having a hard time and really felt kind of the depth of the struggles that we were going for. And it was very hard for me to be that vulnerable and that transparent because it's just not something I'm comfortable with. But I've had so many people just reach out and it resonated with them and it resonated with things that they go through in their lives. And so, you know,
people were excited, my friends, when I posted the clip of you. You view that as a more vulnerable, downtrodden version of yourself. Yeah. But all of my friends were like, let's go. Yeah. So good. Team So Good against Big Candy. We're fired up and we're here to support you. So I just always want to take a moment to applaud your ability to take one of your lowest moments and then inspire a team, inspire the people. It's just a very strong talent that you have that I don't think you're always aware of. And it pumps me up. It pumps the team up when there's a difficult time that we're going through and you're just like, all right, guys, here's what's next. I would follow you into war, Mother.
Yeah. Well, we just went into war.
Yep.
Against Big Candy. But no, I think it's definitely an exciting time. It's still a difficult time. The next months are going to be a challenge. They're tough, but we're going to fight through. And I think that over the last 2 months, you know, getting back to the core of who we are has been invigorating for me. We thought that we were done. We'd achieved something that was spectacular and we were just going to grow exponentially from there. And to have the rug pulled out from under you, one of two things happen. You know, you just lay down and roll over, or you dig deep, you find your grit and you rise to the challenge. And, you know, that doesn't mean that I didn't throw pity parties for myself. I know someone made fun of my blankie and pillow comment, but I think that you need that. You need those moments to say, okay, this is a tough, challenging moment. What am I going to do? And especially over the last few weeks, as I've gotten back into innovation and R&D and what are our paths forward, it's been so exciting because I think that's when you're growing. We were on a roller coaster, right? We were growing so quickly and we were in one lane, we were in one path. And there's definitely some beauty in that simplicity. It's awesome that, you know, freeze-dried candy was just going nuts and we couldn't keep up with production. And that had its own challenges. But through that, I think that we lost a little bit of who we were at our core. So when, you know, Big Candy started coming in and that trajectory changed, you needed to come back and say, okay, what are my core competencies? What was at the heart and at the core of what we were trying to build at So Good? And I think that, you know, this time is allowing me to get back to that, which is manufacturing ourselves. You know, we're no longer co-manufacturing overseas, innovating, R&Ding. What are the adjacent categories, or what are the other areas of expertise that we have that the power of freeze dried can come in and really disrupt and innovate. And that's what we started Sow Good for, to take the power of freeze-dried technology and disrupt and innovate. And so having to reset, restart, rebuild is allowing us to do so in a really exciting way that makes me have to think outside of the box and makes me look at other things that are just exciting and that drive my passion.
Let's dive into what those things are that we're looking forward to.
So I'm not going to tell you because I want to launch.
Stick your tongue out at them too.
I want to finish the innovation. I want to finish the R&D, and then when we're ready to launch those new items, you guys will be the first to know. But it's been a transformative time period. And
these are your love languages.
Yes.
Research, R&D, developing,
innovation.
Yes. Having to stay up at night thinking, what's next? What are we going to do tomorrow? Waiting for the product to come out of the freeze dryer, trying it as soon as it's done.
I know. Today I had a test come out of the freeze dryer. Garbage.
But this is what my mother lives for. She's like a little nerd at heart.
Oh,
and
totally.
She likes her spreadsheets. She likes sitting behind her desk, but she also likes being out there and tweaking formulations for the product or for freeze drying processes. This has just been so fun seeing my mom back in her excited, like, little girl giggly face, like, ooh, I get to play around again and try new things. And I'm just so confident that whatever you come up with, whatever you do, it will be phenomenal and I'll be able to sell it. And that's just how the world turns around. But these are her love languages.
Yeah. And it has been exciting, to meet with the team and see them excited about launching new products and ideating in new categories that they're not familiar with. And I think that, if anything, I've learned so much over the last 3 months. And, the last time we spoke, I was like, peaks and valleys, that's our life. And I don't want so many valleys anymore. But after that, I really reflected on that. And I'm a huge Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Rocky fan. And yes, I am aware Rocky's not a real person, but he's a real person to me. The one thing that all three of those characters, people, have in common is they really learned the most through failure. When they had to really dig deep and find the grit within them is when greatness came. And that's been very motivating for me in the last few months, because no matter what level of success you reach in life, and Ira and I have achieved tremendous successes, it's all relative, and on the outside, you could look like a total success and still be going through a difficult time or going through something that you view as failure or difficulty, and someone else that's perfection or what they strive to achieve. And so the last 3 months have really been growth for me, an opportunity to grow and to get back to who I am as a person, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur. So, going through the peaks and valleys over the last few months really made us get back to our roots, which I think is exciting, and it's humbling to be able to have that experience. And, I thought back to when we rang the bell. I thought back to, when the company was on paper worth almost, $200 million. And when that changed, all I could think about was, oh my gosh, how did we go from 22 to 2? But now it's like, wow, how cool was that? For a moment in time, we built something that very few people have ever been able to build. And that trek was amazing, and it helped us all grow, and it gave us new perspectives and new goals and new outlooks. And now we're going back to the basics. We're going back to our core. We're going back to what led to to that innovation? What led to that growth? Who we were at our heart. And so to be able to rediscover that and to reignite that passion in us, in the company, is super exciting. And yes, we're taking 20 million steps back. But I think that once we're done, these hardships, these struggles will have been worth it and will have created something truly special and unique. So that's where I'm at.
I can't express enough how fun it is seeing my mom in this mindset. We had some tough conversations. I wanted to let you just like feel your feelings, but there are times where I would say to you, okay, mama.
Enough.
Enough. It's time. Like everything that you were worried about does not matter. It matters. It does. But in the end, what have you not overcome in your life?
Yeah.
Give me one single obstacle that you have not overcome and been better on the other side. This, I feel like the lower the valley, the higher the peak for her. So anytime she goes through something really difficult, I think what makes you so special and so good is that you can either stay in that valley and just always stay there and come up with every excuse for why you shouldn't climb that mountain and rise to the top. But you don't do that. You tackle it head on.
Yeah.
There were a couple pity parties, but then you brought yourself up.
Yeah.
You brought yourself up, and look at you now.
Yeah.
One episode later, you are on a different level.
Yeah.
And this is why I will always, always back my parents. And this is why also when I'm interested in other companies, it goes so far beyond the product. It goes so far beyond the business plan. Who is behind the company? Those are the people that I'm rooting for. That's something that I've really learned over the past few years. Yeah. You could see the hottest thing going viral and trending, but if it's not like someone that you are truly inspired by and believe in, the product could fail the next day. They could have machines get shut down. They could have some disaster happen, because if you are in startup world, if you are in manufacturing especially, something's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready to weather that storm, if you don't have the grit and determination that this woman does right beside me, as well as my dad, then you will not reach the mountaintop that's on the other side of that valley. And here you are. Yeah. I fully, fully, fully believe that we are going to be even bigger than we were before.
Yeah. And it's going to take time. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to mislead anyone. The next few months are going to be tough, and there's going to be more challenges ahead. We're having to relook at our cost structure and our manufacturing space. But those are the challenges that are going to form us. And, you know, talking about Ira, I spent a lot of time reflecting on his dad over the last few months. And for those of you that, you know, don't know Ira's father's story.
I got just immediately.
I know.
Really emotional.
He survived the Holocaust. And he survived the Holocaust by escaping a concentration camp with one of his brothers and one of his friends. During that escape attempt, one of his friends and one of his brothers died. They ended up digging a hole in between two roots of a tree underneath German headquarters. And that's where they rode out the war. And as we've gone through these challenging times, I think to Aaron, and Aaron was one of the most loving, happy, joyful people on the planet. And he ended up coming to the United States with nothing, built an amazing company that still exists, that's also publicly traded, just accomplished so many amazing things in his life. And, you know, Aaron always looked at life through opportunities. And he used to always tell Ira, when Ira was going through a tough time, you can still eat steak tonight, you can still have a glass of wine. And if you can still do those two things, everything else is okay. And so, you know, feeling him with me on this journey has definitely been powerful and something that I reflect on. And that took me back to my peaks and valleys and how fortunate we are. And that really was, I think, what got me out of my funk, is when I took a minute and stepped away from myself. And what was really killing me was the guilt or the responsibility I felt for the people around me. I mean, that's what really weighed on me. And when I took a minute and stepped back and said, we are so incredibly fortunate. And the only way I will ultimately let these people down is if I give up, if I don't get out of this funk, if we don't rise to this challenge and try to reinvent ourselves. And once that happened, it really turned a switch and, got me out of that funk and really gave me a new passion for this 37th lease on my life. Because I feel like what separates so many people from others that allow them to achieve is the ability to reinvent themselves, the ability to be flexible in what they do in order to achieve the ultimate goals that they have. And for us, the ultimate goals were to build a company that will stand the test of time, that uses innovative manufacturing techniques to, be disruptive in the CPG space. And that's ultimately what we're going to do. And now it's going to take a little bit more time than we thought it was going to. And we're going to take some steps back. But at the end of the day, that goal and that company that we envision building is still very much within our grasps, as long as we're strong enough, bold enough, and brave enough to go for it. And I think that we've built an incredible team. We have so many talented people that surround us, and by banding together, by, innovating together, by ideating together, the power of that is just phenomenal. And so, yeah, it's an exciting time filled with challenges, but that's what life is. And like Rocky says, just keep punching. So Sly, if you ever want to do anything in freeze dried, give me a call.
Honestly.
Love it.
Freeze dried
boxing gloves. Yeah.
I love you so much.
I love you too, baby.
I think it's a moment to also recognize that your team encompasses the people who have influenced and inspired you. And when you mentioned Aaron, my grandfather, it just really struck a chord for a moment, because our team is so much more than just the people who are physically here.
Yeah.
And Aaron's dad was a poor school teacher and rabbi in Poland. His wife died when the kids were young, and he really had to raise the kids on his own. His oldest sister, Esther, really took on the responsibility of caring for all of the kids, and sadly, his dad and Esther and Aaron's other siblings, the majority of them died in the Holocaust. But his dad had said to Aaron, "Go, my son, maybe you will survive," because Aaron had the opportunity to work. Yeah. And since he was a young, strong man, he was sent to work camp. He was sent to work camp, and he was able to survive. He would have to make shoes as a kid.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not what I want to do, but I have to provide for my family. And then he built an incredible company that he brought public in the same spot 30 years before we rang the bell to be public for Sow Good. And so he went through the sacrifices so that Ira could get to where he is. Your parents made their own sacrifices to get to where you are.
Yeah.
I went through some tough times with you when we were growing up. It wasn't always easy.
No.
And you really, really, Lord knows how you sacrificed. I don't know if life ever gets easier. And that's what I think I'm learning. Each generation, they have a new world of, whether it's social media and the availability of information and sad, tragic news at the fingertips, and how quickly bad news can spread. There are just so many things that different generations experience, but I think our team, and here we are at Sow Good, building something incredible, and we have so many people we stand on the shoulders of giants, and
it takes a village.
It takes a village, and Sow Good is like our own little child.
It is
that
our
is
child.
Getting up, and it's
gosh.
growing, and then it's running, and then falls and breaks an ankle, and they're like,
Face plant.
Yeah, no. All good, and you know what? It builds character.
Yeah.
And Sow Good is getting Sow Good has a couple broken noses. That's giving it a lot of character, but that baby's growing strong, and I'm so excited to see how we continue to develop and Sow Good continues to develop.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. I'm excited for what the future has to hold. Like I said, it's going to be difficult, but at the end of the day, these challenges are what are going to shape us. And, you know, going back to generations and kids, yeah, you guys, your kids are going to grow up in a completely different world.
I was scared when my mom mentioned sometimes my mom gets such baby fever.
I know.
Like, your kids, I'm like, hold on. Let's wait a few years. We're growing so good. That's my main child right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they will grow up in a different world. But I think it's as you guys did with me and how I hope to bestow upon my children is, here's what I went through. Wasn't easy, but here's how I got through it, and you guys will too. And there's nothing that you could say that exactly prepares me for what I will experience in high school, in college. It looks different than when you were there. Math is different than it was in your time. How does math keep changing with every generation?
And how is Pluto not a planet? That's still, I don't understand.
That was a tough loss. And
I'm still not over it. Pluto is a planet. I don't care what the new science says.
The best that you can do is be an example and be a support system. And I think that's what we try to do with Sow Good is when we show up as our best selves, and I think we've just seen that between the last episode and this episode. And last episode was the best version of you at that time. So if you seem downtrodden then, wow, see her with her blankie and pillow at night. And just your ability to walk into a room, and when you can say bad news, you instead turn it into such exciting opportunities. And I think when we show up with our excited, most impassioned version of ourselves at Sow Good, we inspire our teams, and we're just happier. We're happier, and you think of more creative solutions.
Yeah. I think anytime you're taking steps forward, you're putting one foot in front of the other, that's just
Sometimes
positive in and of itself.
They're
Yeah.
little baby steps.
And so, yeah, I'm excited. I'm passionate about this next iteration.
We have a lot coming up.
We're
going on Friday. I fly to Vegas for the Fancy Food Trade Show, and we will be showing a couple of our new ideas. And then after that,
Germany will be the one where we'll have more of our, new iteration.
We fly to Germany for the end of the month for
Cologne,
the international trade show there, which is so cool. It's just where I thrive, I think, on the international side, getting to work with different cultures and people and languages. I love different languages. I love having to adjust my sales pitches and strategies and mannerisms when I see the different, and there's just so many countries in Europe.
Yes.
And also people from Africa come, and the Middle East. So I love having to adapt right on the spot. And sometimes you need to be a little bit more reserved. Sometimes you need to be really uppity and excited, and you get to be warm or sarcastic. So many different things, and it really excites me. But I'm excited for what's coming up. I'm excited for what we're doing. I'm excited that you're excited. It pumps me up. It makes me happy. And let's go.
Let's go.
All right, guys. So the next time we talk
posted.
to you, we will have even more good stuff. And maybe we'll have an actual visual. We'll have products here.
Perhaps.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Bye.